And because I don't like how that turned out, so we're gonna let that sit for a few minutes, and then I'm gonna print over it. And maybe let's do a little bit of fluorescent with that. Let's see what happens. And there's still paint on here, so that will pick up on my brayer. And that's kind of neat right there. Okay, before I paint too much of that, or mix too much of that, I'm just gonna take a print of that because I like that mixture and see what I get. Cool, because there's a lot of paint, I'm just gonna lightly press because I don't want it to spread too much. And then I get an interesting, almost looks like a leopardy kind of print. And then I'll pull more of that paint over here. That's fun, I like that. I was gonna overprint that right now. Let's do one more little roll. Take this one and just, it's like a calligraphy nib almost, so you can do wide and thin scrapes. So I'm just moving it back and forth. So when you have thicker paint areas like that, your prints will be a little bit more textured. I'm going to put a little bit on this, maybe cover some of that area, because I like that fluorescent color popping off of there. So let's see if it pops off of this. Yeah, much better. So it covered kind of that brown that I did earlier. I didn't really like how that was how that turned out. So let's take a little bit of this and add it on here. So I wanted to cover that little brownish area that I printed earlier. And that did it much better. So now I've got a little hint of pink on there. I might add a little bit of that over here at the bottom. Just pull what's left over this little section. So I like to bring my color palette throughout the piece. So add a little bit, pops of color there. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and roll the rest of this paint out before it dries. And now I've got that peach color that I was looking for. So I can roll it out and just make it nice and even. This time I'm going to use one of my hot glue stencils. Let's just put that on there and see what I can pick up. So I'm just going to take that, and this one you're going to have to, when you use something that's a little thicker like the hot glue stencil, you might not get as great of a detailed print because you can't get super close to the edges like you can with a thin stencil like that. But you can still get an interesting print. And it helps to use thinner paper. So this is the lightweight paper that I'm using. And so you can see I get a nice like thick outline, which is fun. And then I'm going to take this and I want to print that on here. So let me move that. So I'm going to overprint this on here. And take my brayer. So you get the outline of that flower on there. And I want just a little hint of a darker color, so I'm just going to, while this is here, I'm just going to shoot it with a little bit of turquoise. And transfer, let me pull that up. So that's kind of fun there. Just gives you a nice little contrast. Then I can turn this over and take that and print it. I just want to grab the area that I sprayed. So I'm going to put that here and roll over it with my brayer. Let's see, I just get a little hint of that. And so this, I think I like this. I'm just going to leave this, let it dry. During this exercise, I use the small 6x6 Gelli plate as the substrate, and here are some of the printing results. And now that these are all dry, you can see the layers. This incorporated one of my handmade hot glue stencils and then a few of my new stencil collection. And you can see how you can build up all of these. So some of these were previous prints that I just added more layers onto, incorporating needlepoint canvas and cleaning off my stamps and stencils onto this background. And then really taking some of these other prints and just adding bits and pieces from the printing plate, from the Gelli plate. And you can see how that series starts to develop. And here are a couple that I ended up using the paper cutouts and then parts of my stamps and more stencils. And this was a print from the first lesson. And then I built these 11 by 14 prints using that small Gelli plate, and here's the end result. And you can see how it creates such an interesting layered effect when you just kind of move the page around, and you don't really know what you're going to get until it dries completely. So this was fun, working with the golden open paints and one of my handmade brushes, where I took the paint and spun it onto the plate, and then some more sgraffito and working with some of my stencils, and then really kind of taking those prints in different directions where I still have the same color palette, but then I started to add in some of that fluorescent pink color, and then a few more marks using my stamps and my stencils. And I really love how some of this has some white space open. So, you don't have to fill in the entire page. Here's a third print on the 11 by 14 size. And this one was actually just cleaning up my plate and some of the tools. And you can see how the layers are, kind of get a little bit muddied there, but this one still probably needs a little bit more work. It would make a great journal page. I can, cut it in half and then use it inside a journal, or cut it into fourths, or use it as collage. It would be great to even experiment using paper stencils, paper masks over here, and just make a big block print over the top. So here is the final print, and really fun prints using the Gelli plate. You can get some really beautiful coverage, and this was kind of that ombre pattern where I just added a little bit of paint and kept it on one corner. of the brayer, and then adding more of that kind of pink and fluorescent pink color into here, and then prints using the side of the handmade brush. So I wanted to show you what these final prints looked like, because while I was printing the actual pages, it was hard to fit the entire 11 by 14 page in the camera frame. So have fun and experiment with building layers using the 6 by 6 plate to create some interesting backgrounds and prints. Happy printmaking! As we come to our final lesson, I just wanted to say thank you for joining me through this creative journey. I really hope that I have inspired you to continue to make marks and be bold and expressive in your artwork. And I really encourage you to take what you learned and put your own twist on it and really create your own signature style. So again, please share your artwork and your photos using the hashtag Strathmore Workshops and the hashtag Printmaking Unleashed via your favorite social media platforms. And I hope you enjoyed all of the lessons. Thanks again for joining me. Happy printmaking. Take care. Bye.